Yes, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is for you. One thing we do know is it is Ask Savva and Stel Anything. Stel, how are we doing in what is a massive 48 hours for Tottenham Hotspur?
Yeah, same as every other week, supporting Tottenham, just whatever. I switched off around about November. If I'm honest, I switched off from expecting anything. And it's all pretty much panned out how I thought. But you never know. You never know. 1-1. Football's funny. Anything's possible. Yeah. Otherwise, all good. Had a good day at the gym. Yeah. We're good. How are you? How are you doing?
Good. Listen, I'm good. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. The way I see it, the way I see it is my camera's gone a little bit wonky. The way I see it is a win-win. Win. My football team gets through to the semi-finals. Lose. Hopefully, my football team gets rid of the worst manager I've ever seen. So it's all good over here. Listen, before we get into questions, I am saving a few of them up. Big night for you, Angus, tonight. That's no bottling, mate. No bottling, or we won't see you for about another 3 weeks on YouTube. Still, look, before we get into the questions, it is massive, right, tomorrow, because we literally have got to the stage where I think we had got to the stage with about 15, 16, 17 Premier League games to go, that there was nothing riding on anything other than the Europa League. So this is what we've been told we're waiting for, right? We've been told it's all about the Europa League. He's got to go and win it tomorrow, right? There's no ifs, buts, and maybes. Everyone's fit. Everyone is fit now. I think the only one who's not is Radu Dragusin. No excuses, right?
No excuses. This is what we were told. So the goalposts have been moved many times. It's give him the cups, give him this, give him that, give him a season, give him the Europa, give him the players to come back. We've done it all, and it's got worse. So this is the last piece of what we were told to give him. After this, there's no more you can give him. It's done. So either he wins and he cups his ear to all the fans when we win, or he loses and P45 in the post. There's no middle. There's no middle ground.
No, absolutely. And we will look, we'll get into it. I'm sure there's going to be questions about tomorrow night. So we'll get into it. If you have got any questions, please, I will get to as many as possible. Obviously, any that are in the format of a super chat will get answered first. But just quickly, I did get sent a few things last night that I thought would be of interest to you still. The first of which was this. I don't know if everyone said it. So this was a manager that obviously you and I disagreed on. This was Antonio Conte versus Angepostecoglou in terms of game by game, their league position. And you can see just the difference in the two managers is overwhelming, right? The yellow, obviously representing Conte, came in when we were, I think, 9th. And you can see there, I don't think he dipped below 8th in the whole time he was at Spurs. You can see Ange started well in the orange, and then it's just been a downward spiral since then. I'm going to ask the obvious question. Does that surprise you in any way, shape, or form, Stel, what you've seen there? Is that a surprise to anybody?
It's just a surprise to the people that said Ange Ball is amazing and can't wait for him to prove you wrong. And when he does the double, we will be here. We will be here, they said in the comments. I think it surprises the people that called us negative. I think it surprises the people that called us the problem and toxic and all those things. I think for them, they're in shock. I don't think they know what's hit them.
Yeah.
But for me, a few others, no. It's what we said towards the end of last season. It's what we said after the transfer window was shut. It's what we said at Christmas. It's what we said in January. It's what we keep saying now. So no surprise. I'm surprised how bad it is. I think I predicted at the start of the season would finish anywhere between 10th and 8th or 7th, something like that.
Yeah.
I never thought it would be between 17th and 13th.
It would be between the Championship playoff and the relegation side of the Premier League. Look, this next one, this is the last one before we go to the questions. This is just Ange. So this shows you a lot clearer the downward trajectory we've been on. Let me make sure this is Tottenham every match day by league position under Angepostecoglou. And look, still, you know, I know there's people out there that don't like facts, they don't like stats, they don't like data, and I mean, but this is just as far as a graph goes. If you were a businessman, right? If you were in any other life, and somebody said, "Hi, Gaffer, you know, hi CEO, this is my trajectory over the last 2 years." It doesn't make for pretty reading, does it? Look, it's shocking.
And do you know what's interesting? Even people who defend the owners, this has a direct correlation with revenue, because as the league position falls, the prize money of where you finish in the league falls.
Yep.
As you fall down the league table, you're not going to get into Europe, so you lose all the European income. Yep. And as you fall down the league table, the likelihood of season ticket renewals, new memberships, attracting a new audience, club merch being sold, that decline as well. So even from the financial gurus who love Spurs for being a brilliant business, the footballing performance will have an impact on the financial performances. So,
well, do you know what it is each league?
It's all correlated. They're both correlated.
Do you know how much it is per league position in the league?
A couple of mil, 3-4 mil.
It's 3.1 million per position. So when we say things like, "Oh, what does it matter, 17th or 10th?" Well, it actually matters quite a lot, right? Like that's, you think if you finish the difference between
so basically, so basically from 5th last year to 17th this year will be a loss. Well, we'll be down 35 mil.
Yeah, but even you look, these people that are going, you know, the only thing that matters is the Europa League. Sure, but when we had the chance to sack the manager in December for the January window, you still had a chance of Europe via the league at that stage. But more importantly, the difference between 10th, which is still rubbish, but respectable compared to where we are now, the difference between 10th and 17th is the difference between sacking Ange for 10 million. So that'll be 21 million pounds, right? Be roughly 21 million, roughly, right? That's 10 million to sack Ange, and possibly still 10 million to go and buy out another manager out of their clause. Now, what will happen is if we finish 17th, you've got to find that 20 odd million from somewhere else. So it's all a bit strange, but look, I just thought those were interesting. My man Paratici sent me them. I think he got his chat GPT to put that together. So go on the world and chat GPT. Let's get to some questions. I will, as I said, I'll get to as many as possible. It is impossible to get every question, but I'll get to as many as I can. And please put a big Q, put a capital Q before the question so that I don't have to read it all while it's in the chat to know whether it's a question or not. Let's have a look, Stel. Some questions. Let's have a look. The first one is one from my man, Ethan Bates, who's always in the show, who's always been very generous to everyone. He sent this to me personally and said, "I think most fans under this ownership want us to get back to the Poch days of being competitive in the league and hoping to go one further in winning a cup. On that basis, which players in the squad are good enough to get us there through coaching and who simply isn't good enough? I feel we have fallen into the trap of keeping players for ages under the illusion they will work for a new manager, i.e. Ndombele, Lo Celso, etc." It's a good question. It's a good question, Stel. Who's good enough? If I said to you right now, who's good enough that you go, I don't care who the manager is, these players must be the ones that are kept?
So there's a couple of caveats on this. If it's just one game a week, no Europe, crash out the cups early, then this squad could probably just about do it because they got 5th last year.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about a team that's going to be in Europe doing well in the cups, then that changes a lot.
Yeah.
So let's just assume we're going to build a team that's going to be in Europe and we're going to challenge for a domestic cup. Let's do it that way because that's really what we want. It's difficult because we don't know what this team looks like under a manager that sets them up correctly. So that we don't actually know who's good or not. But I think it's fair to say Ben Davies, why is he still at the club? You know, he's got to go. I think it's fair to say players that are on the books that don't play for us, like Reguilón, Brian Gill, this lot, just see you later. But the players that we've got now that are actually available to play, I would get rid of. I'll probably keep all the fullbacks because I think they can be developed. I do, all of them. Spence, Porro, and Udogie.
So Spence, Porro, Udogie. Right, there you
I'll
go.
Them,
three. Yeah. What centre half should keep him?
I would keep. I would keep all of them, except for Ben Davies, on the basis that we're going to play with a number 6 in front of them and not a high line, and with 2 centre backs being told to do all the work. So I'd keep all of them because I think in that system they're capable. That includes Dragusin and Danzo. I think in a proper system there's a place for them to work. In midfield, I'm not convinced by Pape Sarr. I'm not convinced.
No, I'm not.
I'm not convinced.
Do you know what it's still? I don't know what he is. I don't know what his skill. You know, like with some people, you go like, okay, Bergvall. We know that Bergvall, like,
he's an engine. He's an engine, Savva. He's an engine. That's it. He's an engine.
Yeah. But listen, you could pay me. I'll have an engine. You know what I mean? Like, I'll maybe not at this age, but you know, maybe 20 years ago, I could have had an engine and played. But can I ask you? Just want to go back to the centre back bit you said there. Would you keep Romero? And I don't mean ability wise, but I mean it feels like for a couple of years now we've had a lot of he's either injured or it feels like he's having a pop at the club. Lots of rumours that he's fallen out with the manager. Lots of rumours that he's fallen out with the medical team. Seems to prioritise Argentina. Would playing once a week next season be the perfect opportunity to kind of move him on, get some money in, and go with Dragusin, Danso, Van der Ven, and allow a Vuskovic, Phillips to come through?
I like Romero. He's had a bad season. He switches off once in a while. But I do believe the whole team has suffered because of poor management as well. And I think Romero, in a proper system, can be valuable to us. That doesn't mean he'll be elite. Doesn't mean he'll be prime Ledley King. But I do think in a proper system with a 6 in front of them, we could have a defender there. The reason he switched off is because the club has switched off. We haven't been serious since the day he arrived. We haven't been serious. So, yeah, I do think there's a place for Romero. But I know he splits fans' opinion because this year he's not been great. But the team's been shit this year. The whole team's been crap. I even question Van der Ven this year at times. Even Van der Ven at times I've said this year, what is he doing? But again, he's another one. He's been injured.
I don't think we've seen him still. What I mean by that, with Van der Ven, I've said, we're in a WhatsApp group together. You see me say this all the time. I'm not knocking Van der Ven, but I want to see what Van der Ven does in a flat back 4 when it's not such a high line. So what I mean by that is if you had a manager that sets his team out normally, like let's use Glasner, for example. You don't really see the Palace centre halves really high up the pitch. They are a back 3 that defend. I'd like to see Van der Ven in that. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I want to see that. I want to see that rather than us always going, oh, he's bailed us out again because of a recovery run. I want to see how good he is, mate. That's where I'm at with Van der Ven.
Yeah, I agree. This is why I said at the start, it's difficult to know with these players because we've not really seen them play in a system that makes sense. By the way, 1 or 2 in the chat saying I'm deluded because we're not going to be in Europe next year. I never said we're going to be in Europe next year. I said that we're not going to win the Europa Cup, which means we won't be in Europe. Savva asked who would we keep in the squad, and I said it depends if we're in Europe or not. Let's pretend we're in Europe, and then I'll tell you who I'd keep. Please listen to what is said, not what you think I've said, because it really does affect the way you interpret things. But anyway, I would keep Romero, Savva. I would, but at the same time, if we didn't, I'm not losing sleep over it.
Yeah. I think
I'm not losing sleep over it.
I think that's where I'm at as well. Listen, we've got loads of questions, so let me see if I can get loads of these out. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them.
By the way, can I just to finish answering your question? The only midfielders I'd keep the only midfielders I'd keep would be, and some of these would be squad players, not necessarily starters, would be Madison, Kulu, Bergvall, and that's it. I'd get rid of the rest.
You know what?
I'll get rid of the rest. Archie Gray, because he hasn't had a crack at the 6 yet. But Saar, Basuma, Bentancur, for me, I don't. It's just there's no point.
No.
And across the attack, if Johnson played as a striker behind the striker, and that's all he did, so we can see what he's like there, I'm prepared to give him a chance. But as a winger, no. Timo, no. Odebert, I don't know. Tell, no. Solanke, no. Richarlison, no. And out of the youngsters, again, Lancashire, Divine, Scarlett, Moore, I have no idea because they haven't really been given a chance. None of them. Not a single one. And of the backup goalies, again, none of them. I'd keep Kinski because he looked half decent. Yeah. So is Brandon Austin. So probably half the players, Savva. I'd keep half the players, get rid of half.
I don't disagree with you on any of it. As I said to Lubo this morning in the group chat, I would, Archie Gray for me, I think is becoming a bit of a dilemma with Archie Gray because if we're only in one competition, if we're not in Europe next season, I don't believe you can go into next season with Gray and Bergvall in a midfield, whether that's a midfield 2 or a midfield 3. I think there's room for one of them. And unfortunately for Gray, I do think that Bergvall, from what I've seen, is a superior. I know that sounds harsh. I think he's much better. I think he's technically, physically, I think he looks there. So I would send Gray out on loan. I know Lubo gets annoyed at me when I say I would have him out on loan somewhere next year at the age of what he'll still be 19, somewhere next year, top of the championship, and say, right, play every week, centre mid, and then come back. But I just thought I'd throw that in because. Sorry. Normally the dogs go mad when the front door goes, but there's no one here. I've got the puppy is excitable. He hears any noise and he's like, is it for me? It's like, oh, annoying. Big up Anthony Clark for the super sticker. Big up to you, my man. Always very generous with the super stickers. Thank you very much. Here's a great question. Actually, I'll get to that in a second. Big up to Gambling. Said, I just want consistency, at the least fine with 7 out of 10. Are you talking Gambling about 7 out of 10 players? 7 out of 10.
We are consistent. We are consistent. It's not very good.
Yeah. Do you know what, Gambling? I've been saying this for ages. I don't think Spurs need necessarily to go out and sign top players. It would be lovely to, but we're not going to. What I want Spurs to do is I want us to find John McGinn's. Right? I want us to find, I'm not saying John McGinn. I'm just saying John McGinn's. I want us to find those players that every game you watch, you go, he's given his all. He does a good job. He's a leader. He's a senior pro. That's all I want. And for me, we've got too many that give you 8s or 2s. And it doesn't feel like there's any in between. So big up to you, Gambling. Big up to Ayuso who said, hello there. Hello to you. Said, if we change managers, is that another rebuilding coming? And we go through the same cycle for 18 months, unless something happens board level. Stel, this is a good question because I get frustrated. I'm not saying a user said this. He's asked the question. I get frustrated when fans automatically assume that every manager, you have to tag the word rebuild on it. Yeah. We have seen in other clubs still, managers come in, pick up, work with what they've got, coach them, improve them, add 1 or 2 additions, and you keep going. It doesn't always have to be new manager, right? Rip it all up, 20 new players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no rebuild when you've never built anything in the first place. We've never built anything. What have we built? If the stadium fell down, then there's a rebuild. We've got to rebuild the stadium, but we've never built a winning team, never. So for me, you need a manager that can get the best out of the players we've got to start with, set them up in a way that works for them and gets them playing football that can score goals and that can protect our goal. The absolute basics: keep possession, and when you don't have possession, get the ball back. Protect the goal. the basics. We need a manager that can come in and do that. Once we've got a team that looks like it's coached, that it's drilled, that it looks like it knows what it's doing, and then players begin to show what they can and can't do in a system that is set up for them, then you'll know, right, keep A, B, C, get rid of D, E, F, and then try and bring in players that are quality. But we're always going to be up against it because we've got wage bill, self-inflicted austerity from Levy and Enoch. We've got a recruitment team that I don't understand what they see when they sign some of these players. And I don't understand why managers sign off on it either. They're just as culpable. Yeah. So that phase of things, forget that. Let's get a manager that can actually set us up properly first and that can develop some of the existing players, because that's when you'll know who is good enough and who isn't. Because right now we don't know who's been coached, what they've been coached, what they think they've been coached, if they know what they've been coached. We don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know. I watch them play and I just think, you can't pass the ball 5 yards. When in your professional career did you stop learning how to do that?
Do you know what? I think one of the first things you said there was spot on. Like when I think a lot of fans use words incorrectly. When you talk about a rebuild, I would argue if this is a rebuild, do you know what do you know what Ange has done? If we're going to be brutally honest about this, Stel, the equivalent of an Ange rebuild is Spurs have bought a plot of land, right? We've owned it. We've put all the fencing around it to say, hey, this construction company's doing something. And yet 2 years later, we've not even dug up the grounds and started laying foundations. Because how can a rebuild, when people use that word, I always ask them still, what does it mean? And no one can give me a clear definition. Because Spurs have gone backwards. A rebuild, you're implementing something, not losing 17 games in foot. That's not a rebuild. That's what's the opposite of a rebuild?
It's because we're fed. It's because we're collapse. It's because we're fed media sound bites. Because Pochettino said painful rebuild. Because Arteta said trust the process. Because managers said I'm looking for a project. Because Daniel Levy sat there in front of the world and said we've got our Tottenham back. People jump on these sound bites, and for example, double pivot. What you mean to in midfield? I mean, double pivot. Like, what? A 6 and an 8 that can cover each other when they go out of position. We create these phrases and then, right, we'll go with that for the next 6 months until the new thing comes up. And we just jump on it as fans because it's the easy thing to do. So I don't buy into any of it, Savva. I don't.
I've got
project
proof,
process
plan. I've got proof.
Simple. We've got our Tottenham back. That's.
There you go.
I mean, if you were to do a poll, right? What is the worst thing to backfire ever? Is it that Levy clip of him saying we've got our Tottenham back, and then a couple of woo, or when Nuno signed, we're going to make you proud. We're going to make you proud. That would be a great debate. Which one is worse?
Daniel Levy all day long. The funny thing about it is it's the half-hearted clapping in the back. He goes, "We got our Tottenham back," and I think he was expecting some whoa, like, and it was like it was all right, Daniel. The
thing is, Savva, right? Play it again, but before you play it, I want everyone to notice as Levy's saying it, he's shaking his head, right? He doesn't believe it. Right? Play it back again and watch. Look at his body language.
All right, here we go, everyone. I'll leave it to run for 10 seconds as well. Ready?
Simple. We've got our Tottenham back. That's. I just feel that we're seeing football that we used to see. And
I can leave it at that. We're seeing football we used to see.
Oh my God!
As Wolverhampton Wanderers are sticking 4 past us, Liverpool are sticking 6 past us, 17 defeats. We're seeing football we used to see. The thing is,
he's right. In the 90s, we saw that. In the 90s, we did see that. He's not lying. He just didn't say when.
Body language experts will tell you that Daniel Levy's shaking his head while saying it.
That's what I'm saying to you.
He's going,
We've got our Tottenham back.
He's-
We've got our Tottenham back.
Yeah.
Huh? What?
It's like when the wife comes in, if I say to her, we're going to the Bahamas next week. We're going to the Bahamas.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Look into the eyes. Anyway, let's get to some questions. Big up my airport guy. There I am, minding my own business, eating.
Big up Zappa.
What am I eating? I think I was eating a Wendy's burger. Was it Wendy's or something in an airport in the Dominican Republic? And I hear Savva. And I'm like, say, it's Mike Zappa from YouTube. I'm like, hello, mate.
Savage, you know what? You know Zappa, right? But
Yeah.
honestly, hats off to him. The two protests that we've done, the big ones recently, in both protests, he's carrying heavy tripods, battery packs, cameras, flight case full of equipment, and he's just walking up and down the high road and just trying to get videos of fans, make a mini documentary. I helped him on one of the protests. Mate, it's not easy, all that equipment he carries, but hats off to him. You know, he's volunteered to do that. Fair play.
Fair play.
To
Big
Zappa.
up, Mike.
Yeah.
Big Mike has adopted the Alex Mr. Box Office stance on the world and said, happy Easter, guys. Don't get used to it because I'm a known tightwad. Big up to you, Mike. You're not tight. I really appreciate you. What is tight, Mike, is that there's over 440 people in here and only 107 likes. That is bang on, if I'm not wrong, like 1 in 4. Come on, guys. That's Richarlison. No, actually, it's not. Richarlison's won every 3.7. That is Dominic Solanke goal scoring ratios of 4.12 or whatever he's got. So thank you, Mike. And please smash the like button, people, and subscribe if you haven't already. We've had a mad couple of days with the subscribers, so please keep that going. Thank you, Mike. And then Krista, this guy, I like this guy. He's got the best name of anyone who follows me on YouTube. I don't care. Krista Scorpion Nyland. That is a brilliant, beautiful name. I love that. I feel like your name should be in the credits of like Last Kingdom or Game of Thrones or something. I feel like it just looks brilliant. So he said, if we go for Thomas Frank, could he become a new Pochettino? Big up to you both. Big up to you, Krista. Now, there's lots of talk the last 48 hours from a lot of, I know you love this, Stel, a lot of the old ITKs. I know you're big fans of the ITKs.
Yeah, like that.
Lots of people are chucking in Thomas Frank's name. Now, this is a manager that I like. I don't think Thomas Frank is your guy that's going to win you leagues and Champions Leagues. But we are not a football club that are going to win leagues and Champions Leagues. Yeah. I think Thomas Frank is a very good coach. I think he's done a wonderful job in his tenure at Brentford, loses his best players every year, signs players for 5-10 million from all over sort of Scandinavia, gets a team sorted. And more than that, still, he seems like a top guy to go with it. I feel like he would be someone that the fans could identify with. What's your feelings on Thomas Frank?
I'm on the fence because I like him and I think he's good, but I don't know necessarily if his football will be accepted by a lot of Spurs fans because sometimes it's not quite what fans want to see, and we are a funny fan base like that. You know, if you were to say to Spurs fans, we're going to win 1-0 every single game this season and win the league at the end, would you take that? There's a lot of fans that would say, no, I'm not watching 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. So Thomas Frank, I'm not so sure about Brentford defensively either. Defensively, are they really what I want to see at Spurs? I don't know. But he's done a great job. I mean, Brentford isn't a big club, and he's done really well with them. Really well. So you can't knock him.
He's brought them up and they've not gone back down. So I'm just reading it. I'm just reading it now.
Where are they now in the league, Savva? Where are they now in the league?
I think they're 11th. They're 11th, 6 points above Tottenham.
So they're a mid-table team, which is good for Brentford. That's very good.
Yeah, when you think this guy in his time has lost Ollie Watkins, he's lost Ivan Toney. Like, I know when we talk about Kane leaving Spurs, No, before anyone in the chat gets silly, I'm not saying those players are as good as Kane. But to Brentford, it was their version of Harry Kane. Watkins, then Tony. And he just seems to do this wonderful job. And I don't know if you've seen it still. There's a few YouTube videos flying around of him giving team talks and stuff and after match talks to his team. He just looks like a guy that I would look at and go, I'm proud that you're my manager. Like, if I saw him, like right now, I've got Sky Sports News on, right, in the background. When I see Ange's on the screen, my first thought is, what is he saying now? Like, not as in I want to watch it, but he's going to be some sort of soundbite. Frank, for me, seems like a good guy that I could think, yeah, I want to watch you. But you're right. I don't think the fans would necessarily want his style of football.
I want Glasner. I was very hell-bent on Iriola. I really, really wanted Iriola. But the more and more I watched, the more and more I realised Iriola is very posh. And I love that. But at the same time, I just got this feeling, and maybe I'm an idiot for it. I've just got this feeling Glasner's more of a serious manager. There's something about him, that German efficiency, that German robotic. We are structured. It works. It's well engineered, well-oiled machine. And you know what you're getting with it. And I think that's one of the reasons Frankfurt won the Europa Cup. See, the great thing about Glasner is he's won a major trophy. And he's now got Premier League experience. He's got both in the bag. And for me, they tick two very big boxes. Whereas Iriola's, Frank's, this lot, what have they won? What have they won? We're desperate for trophies at Spurs. What have they won? Like when Poch came to Spurs, he did a great job at Southampton, but what did you win? Yeah. Whereas Ash, he's won, but what experience have you got at the level we need? He didn't have any. And I think Glasner's the right balance. I can win, and I've got Premier League experience. And he's doing it at a club who, let's be honest, they didn't spend a lot of money. They lost their two best players, Elise and Anderson. So when I weigh up Iriola and Glasner, for me, this is what I think. I prefer watching Bournemouth compared to Palace. On the eye, I prefer Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are higher up in the league table. Let's have it right. Iriola's a top manager. But when I look at Glasner,
he's a top coach.
I see someone that I think is a better manager. He's a better manager. He can manage.
Do you know what I like
a situation better? Listen, Crystal Palace were on their knees, everyone. They were on their knees. The first 10 games, everyone was coming on this channel. Remember, oh, you and Stel, Savva, you lot, talk to me about Glasner. Talk to me now. You told us this. You told us that. Talk to me now. Everyone, knee jerk. Let's jump on the bandwagon. 5 games in, blah, blah, blah. Same as Ange. He's going to win the league after 10 games. As the season's panned out, well, it turns out that they're above Spurs. They've got a chance of Europe. Whether they get it or not, I don't know. They're in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and he lost his 2 best players. I just think he's what we need right now. Glasner, he's stability, and he's well-oiled. Well-oiled machine is what we'll get, and I think that's what we need.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. What I like about this guy is sometimes you see how good a manager is when things aren't going well.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
That ability to dig deep and go, right, what do we do here? And again, Glasner's another manager. If we look at this still, in the summer, Glasner lost arguably his 2 best players in Anderson and Elite. Arguably. You can argue for Eze and Guehi, but he lost 2 big players. Then this January, I think this is going under the radar, he lost Chalobah, who was on loan for the season, but Chelsea called him back, and he was starting week in, week out for Palace. He's then put in Chris Richards, who, no offense, I'd never heard of Chris Richards. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's put in Chris Richards, and their defense has been, I know they conceded 5 to City last week, but other than that, they've been brilliant. And for me, he's doing this with midfield players like Wharton, who's still young and learning the game. Hughes, right? Lerma, like good, solid pros, but nothing to write home about. Look what he's doing with them. And I always think if he could do that with them, what could he do with us? Because we have got a better squad than Palace. I don't care what anyone says, we have. So I think he'd be brilliant, but I doubt we'll go for someone like that.
Can I just say, people in the chat, right? I'm just sharing you my view. And some of the pushback is, should we get David Moyes because they're above Spurs? I never said get Glasner just because Palace is above us. That was one of many factors. You've picked the one that suits your argument and forgot the rest. There's layers to it. And people in the chat saying you're not bothered about Premier League experience. Wenger, Klopp, Slot, Guardiola, they never had Premier League experience. Correct. But they'd won major trophies. They'd won major trophies before they came to Spurs. That's the difference. And I said Glasner ticks both boxes. He's got Premier League experience and he's won a major trophy. Do people not get that? It's not one or the other. He's shown us both. Listen, by the way, I could be wrong. Glasner could come to Spurs and Spurs do what they do to every manager and break him, right? That's definitely on the cards. We could easily break Glasner. If any club can do it, it's us. But I just feel what Spurs need next is there's not going to be a project, because we know whoever comes in, they're going to be under pressure from day one. And if it all isn't flying within 18 months, is going to be out the door. We know that. We need someone that's going to stabilize us, make us a Do you know what I feel like, Savva, now, where we are now? Honestly, forget top four. Forget this top four conversation. Let's go back to when we got Martin Jol and he made us a regular top six side. Let's just go back to being a regular top six side. Yeah. And once we do that every year, fifth, sixth, fifth, then see if we can then do the potch bit and go up the next level again. This, we can go from here to top four, is ridiculous. I think we're so far off of that now that to think that's where we should now go next leap, I think we're kidding ourselves. The job that needs to be done, all these players need recoaching. This squad needs to be retaught how to play. Half of these players aren't good enough. There's youngsters that need game time and need to be bedded into the squad. There's experienced players that need to pull their fucking socks up. There's so much that needs to be fixed that top four, let's just put that on the back burner. Let's just try and get into the top six and maybe win a Carabao Cup if we can. That's where I would start next season. Anything above that, I think we're kidding ourselves and we're putting ridiculous pressure on the whole team. I don't think it's possible.
Ages, right? I think what people have got to remember is there was a spell where we put ourselves in the conversation of top four with City, Arsenal, Liverpool, right? City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United. But if we're talking about the big six, if you like, we put ourselves in there. The problem is, and I keep saying is, like when I have a lot of chats with Lubo and he's like, yeah, but we need a manager who's going to come in and challenge. And I'm like, yeah, but we've now fallen so far still that for me, the next aim has got to be, how can we get back to being when Newcastle and Villa are? So for me, that's the next level now. Does that make sense? I think we were we were in this bracket here below the big boys. Then we kind of joined them, but without properly kicking on like they did. Then we haven't even gone back down to this level. We've gone down here. Now, if you look at Newcastle and Villa now have got both clubs have got brilliant. Look at the similarities between Newcastle and Villa. Both clubs have got brilliant managers, brilliant coaches, Unai Emery and Eddie Howe. Both have got brilliant directors of football in Paul Mitchell. It's Paul Mitchell, isn't it, at Newcastle? Paul Mitchell and Monchi is at Aston Villa. Both have got good owners that their fans love, owners that put the money in, owners that pay the wages, right? Both those two clubs are doing this in an upward trajectory over the last 2, 3, 4 years, right? And both could get Champions League this year. I'm not saying they both will, but both could. Then you look at us. For me, we need to work out, how do we get to them before we start looking at City, Liverpool and Arsenal? How do we get to them? And that brings me on nicely to this question still. That brings it on nicely to this. I saw this. Zumac. I know Zumac absolutely hates my opinions, but thank you for being here. Appreciated. This drives me mad still. Now, let me explain what I mean. Sorry if I'm waffling a little bit.
34 managers. What do you mean 34 managers?
First of all, it's not 34 managers. It's about 16, 17, right? Under
34 managers. That's the entire history of the club.
right. But can I tell you what drives me potty is? So I put a video out the other day on TikTok, which is a world unto itself, and the number of responses still that come back and say he's not the only manager to fail. What will be different? And my answer every time, Stel, is this. There is a difference between us having a conversation about what manager can come in and win. And I don't just mean a cup. I mean win and have us consistently challenging. And there's a very big difference to that and to this. There's a very big difference to that and this. Let me remove that banner. And I say this to you, Zumac, in the chat. It's not that Ange hasn't won anything. I can understand that not every manager at Tottenham is going to win anything. We hardly ever win anything. I can't accept a 1.16 point per game average. I can't accept that. I can't accept that he's done so badly, Zumac, that we're now sitting here talking about maybe only the bottom three finish below us in a league season. Still, does that make sense about the difference between those two conversations that people have? They don't seem to get it. It's not that he's not winning. It's that he's that bad.
Yeah. They think that what's the point of changing manager if we're still going to buy crap players and we're still going to sign players that aren't on high wages, and which is true. That bit he's got a point, but would you rather go into a semi-final of a cup knowing that you've actually got a real chance of doing something, or knowing that you're just going to shit the bed and collapse? Would you rather be in a league campaign hoping you get into Europe, knowing that you're going to be in another relegation battle? It's whatever we do. You know, my opinion is we're screwed when it comes to silverware. I just don't see Spurs winning trophies with Levy and ENIC. So the next best thing is what? Can we get into the Champions League? Can we somehow get to a cup final, an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup? And with Ange, I just don't see that happening. With another manager, it's possible. It is possible. Whether we win a trophy or not, it's highly unlikely. But like we said at the start of the show, we want to get back to competing at that level where at least we're knocking on the door.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not even we can't even walk onto the driveway to approach the house at the moment, let alone knock on the front door. We're still in the streets looking for parking.
Yeah,
we're so far off it. It's unreal. I mean, the football we're seeing at the moment, it's unbelievably bad. It's so bad.
So let me ask you, right? The next manager that comes in, and I know what's going to happen. Yeah, listen, I've supported Spurs so long. I'm actually
everyone's going to jump on it. Everyone's going to jump on it. We've done it. We're back. Blah blah blah.
But what we'll do is the other way, right? What will happen is, right? What will happen here is if the new manager that comes in doesn't do what Ange did in his first 10 games, everyone will go, see, he's not done as well. But for me, those first 10 games were one of the worst things that happened to this club. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying we should have lost them all, but what happened because of that is everyone thought that was going to be the status quo. We're back. Look how great we are. For me, what I want to see with the new manager that comes in, and I'll put this promise to this new manager that comes in, they don't have to be amazing from day one. But what I do want to see, Stel, is I want this flipped on its head. Right? That should be the other way round, right? Now, what I mean by that is, now imagine, you see where it says 70 over this side? I don't know if you, right? 70 on the right-hand side. That should be going the other way. And what I mean by that is if you look at the Wolves manager who's come in, slowly but surely, David Moyes at Everton, Glasner at Palace.
We started super strong and then
over a period of time. The problem we had was that brilliant start, which has allowed the 5th place finish, which people go, well, it weren't bad. We finished 5th. Sure, but after that first 10 games, it was, do you know, we're 15th still in the form table from the first 10 games of Ange's era onwards. We're 15th in the form table.
We started strong and we regressed. We want to just start where we are and slowly progress.
Slowly progress. I need to see progression. For me this year, we didn't have to finish fourth, third. We didn't have to win anything. But what I didn't expect to see was we'd go, hang on, we've gone from 12 defeats last year to 17 and counting this year. Like you just can't, you can't do it.
Do you know the two things that Spurs have failed to improve on more than anything? The first one is controlling a game of football where it's not chaos, where it's not controlling a game of football doesn't mean having more possession. It means when you've got the ball and when you don't have the ball, do we look like we are in control of the situation? I never feel that way other than purple patches for 15 odd minutes in the game. That's the first thing. And the second thing is nobody is going to tell me that defensively the coaching has improved. We are just as bad at the back than I've ever seen us. As a defensive unit and as individual defenders, we are one of the worst teams in the league. You speak to any fan, they can't believe the gaps they see, the space that we give up in dangerous parts of the pitch. Those two things in 2 years have not improved. In terms of goals, we do score goals. I think we're the second top goal scorers. We do know how to find the back of the net. We're not brilliant or amazing at it, but we do know how to get forward. But controlling a midfield, defending, nothing has improved. Nothing at all. That's why I'm just fed up of it, because it's not going to work, is it? If you can't fix those bits within 2 years, when are you going to fix it? How much the players the players don't look like they're progressing, man. We say it every week. Who's really progressed? People say, "Oh, Spence." Well, we don't know what Spence was like before because he never played. Bergvall, okay, Bergvall, that's one. Who else? That's it. It stops there. Udogie hasn't got better. Porro hasn't got better. Van der Ven, Romero, Dragusin, Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr, Maddison, Son, Solanke, Johnson. Okay, maybe Johnson's got more goals. There's two. I'll give you two. Timo, Odebert, Tell, Moore. Who has improved?
Listen, just quickly before we move on, we're going to do some rapid quick fire questions. We've taken quite long with those ones, but you know what it's like. You get into a conversation, you keep going. First of all, man of the match performances, please, for my mods. Thank you. I didn't see it that you blocked these vile trolls saying nasty things about Stel and I. I've just gone into the back office and seen the deleted messages. Thank you for being on top of it. The one thing I would say is Stel and I are very used to these types of messages now. So thank you. Thank you for dealing with that. Listen, let's do some quick fire questions, Stel. Let's try and get, first of all, Foxy, big up to you. It's an option. It's not an obligation to buy, as far as I'm aware. Danso was an obligation. Tell is an option. I think I'm right in that way around. Yeah, Tell is an option that I wouldn't be taking. But hey, that's just me. Big up to you. Darren.
For the record, Mateus Tell would cost us the exact same money Kvaratskhelia cost to go to PSG and Doué cost to go to PSG. We would pay the exact same price as what Kvaratskhelia and Doué are valued at. If that's not criminal, then I don't know what is. There is no way in hell we should be paying anything above 20, 25 million for Tell, and that's if you want him. I don't want him. I don't want him.
Yeah, listen, maybe in a few years, but again, I just don't want more kids. I'm so bored of filling out this crash. Look, right, let's get some quick fire questions. So see how quickly we can do. There's loads, so let's see how many we can do. Right. Big up to Darren Belverstone, who said, Savva Stel, would you like the next manager to get Solomon back, being impressive at Leeds? Not for me. I think he's done well, Stel, but for me, I'll be honest, I'd rather him in our team right now than some of the wingers we've got. But I think moving forward, no, I think you can get better for cheaper with good scouting. So not for me, but I've got nothing against Solomon per se.
No, I don't want Solomon. I want proven talent. I want players that are going to actually go on the wings and cause damage at a Premier League level. When he was at Fulham, he didn't rip up any trees.
Yeah. Absolutely. Rakesh, big up to you. It says, Savva, what do you think if we beat Frankfurt and beat Bodo? Looks like they will win their tie with Lazio. We might have an outside chance. I mean, still, we've got an out. I think we've got more than an outside chance. There's only we're four games away from winning a European competition, but yeah, there is a chance, right? There is, of course, there's an outside chance. We're in it. We're 1-1. There's a chance, right?
Yeah, there's always a chance, but it's funny because I actually was saying 3 months ago we're not going to win the Europa Cup because we're going to come up against that one team that we don't know too much about. We don't know much about their players and manager, but they're going to be so well coached that they're going to spring us with a tactical masterclass, and we're going to come out of the game having lost, saying, "What the hell just happened?" And I was trying to figure out in my head who that team would be, and you know what? The more and more I watch, that Bodo Glimt could be that team because they're a really good team. They've got a really good coach. They battered Roma last year 6-2 in Europe. Mourinho's Roma.
I'd take their manager.
Maybe, but their pitch as well is it's a plastic Astro pitch.
Yeah.
And the last time we played on a pitch like that was at Tamworth away. So, you know what? If we were to beat Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt is no joke. They look like a really tasty side that we don't know much about. By the time we figure them out, the time might be over. But look, that said, if we get past Frankfurt and Bodo, if that's what happens, if Lazio don't turn it around tonight, no, let's not write off Lazio. They're at home tonight. If we get to the final, we're either going to play Athletic Club in their home stadium, in their home city. We are going to shit ourselves. We are going to choke like we've never choked. Or we're going to play Man United. And I tell you what, we've beaten them 3 times this year. I bet you in the final they win. I bet you when it comes down to it, they have the last laugh. So for me, I just don't see us winning the final if we were to get there. Because it's either going to be Athletic or Man U. And I don't fancy us against either of them, sadly. I don't.
Right. No, I completely agree with you.
And you can call me negative all you like, guys. It don't bother me because we're not winning the Europa, and I stick by that. We're not winning this competition. Not with Ange.
Just to forewarn you, if you hear a really loud set of barking in 1 minute, the wife's car has just pulled up. So in a second, when the key goes in that front door, the 2 puppies that are sleeping below me will turn into nutters. So please, sorry if you hear that. Big up to Aussie Dudes. Stel, you're too. Stel, come on, man. Go and get some therapy. Come on, Aussie Dudes told you to. Go get some therapy, mate. Listen, I'll tell you what, I am going to answer one of his questions, actually. Aussie Dude's always in here. To be fair, he's normally not too bad. I'm going to answer your question.
Aussie Dude told me to calm myself down because we're going to beat Liverpool in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup and that we're going to knock out Aston Villa. So Aussie Dude is he's a weird dude. He's a weird dude.
Well, this is where I was going to go. So Aussie Dude has said, Savva Stel, would you apologise and thank Ange if we win the Europa? Aussie Dude, I'm going to throw it back to you. First and foremost, what am I apologising for? Spurs were the favourites to win the competition. So far, he hasn't beaten anybody of any note. We should be where we are. There's no reason we shouldn't be beating Frankfurt. Frankfurt are decent, but they're decent. They're not world beaters. There's no reason we shouldn't be going that far in the tournament. Second of all, I'm going to spin it on you. Aussie Dude, if we do get knocked out tomorrow night to them, we finish 15th, 16th, 17th in the league, haven't won the League Cup or the FA Cup. Does that mean that fans like Stel and I deserve apologies from all of you Ange fans? Is that how this game works? Or do we just be grown up about this and say, cool? Like, I don't know. What do you reckon, Stel?
I reckon Aussie Dude should apologise to me for coming on my channel and saying that I'm negative for saying that Liverpool will smash us at Anfield in the second leg of the Carabao Cup. And Aussie Dude should apologise for coming on my channel and saying that I don't support Spurs or there's something wrong with me, whatever he said, because I said that we're now going to go to Villa and lose in the FA Cup. So apologise to me and then repost this question and then I'll consider answering it. But until you apologise for what you did and what you said, I'm not answering this question. That's what I think.
Lovely question here. Why are you guys so Zigzag, I haven't even given a prediction for Spurs Frankfurt. Factually, no. Ange didn't coach a 4-0 win last Thursday. Not his fault we couldn't finish our chances. Well, that's his job as manager to make sure that we do. Our final third pressing was Champions League. Right, you're now a troll. I'm getting rid of it. You're a troll. Right, go away. Zigzag nemesis, idiot. Right.
How did Ange coach a 4-0 win when we drew 1-1?
Madness, isn't it?
We gave away a goal in the first 5 minutes, one ball over the top, something that hasn't been fixed in 2 years. Did he coach that as well? Or did we forget about that? What about the 3-on-2 chance they got in the 45th minute before the end of the first half, literally the last kick of the game, where they should have made it 2-0, 2-1? Do we forget about that bit of coaching? It's like, I don't know, man. As a fan base, we're lunatics. We're just mad.
Yeah, we are.
We're wild.
Do you know what the funny thing is? What I like about people like Aussie Dude and that, it doesn't matter whether we win 3-1, lose 4-1. They come in and say the same thing anyway. There's no football discussion. It's just we're good. Let's have a look. Linda, purely because you've put this question in about 95 times into my chat. You want to know why we started to point to Tottenham? The first game I was ever taken to, my uncle took me. He was a season ticket holder at Tottenham. He took me when I was 2 in 1984. It's that basic. My family, I was taken. I've got no story that's going to change the world. Stel, same thing, family or?
No. I was abducted by aliens, and they said to me that unless I support Spurs, they won't put me back on planet Earth. So, out of fear of never returning back to Earth, I said, "All right, I'll do it." And ever since then, I've had to stick to it. Otherwise, I'll be abducted again. So,
yeah. Linda, can you now stop spamming? Linda, do you know what, Linda? I'll be honest with you. I had your question at first to answer about 20 minutes ago, but then I saw you put it in 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. Just relax. Next question.
Sorry. Someone in the comments said I would have stayed in space. That's brilliant. I should have said that. I wish I said that.
Hey, user. Thank you for the super chat. No. I'm not going down this route. I've never tried this in my life, so I'm just going to ignore that. But thank you very much.
What a weird question.
I really appreciate you. Right, let's get to a good question. I need you to take this for 1 minute still. Could you take this question and I'll be back in 1 minute?
Yeah, sure. Okay, the platypus on it. What a name. What do you think of Romero's behaviour after the match? Do you know what? I've got a different take on this, guys. So if Romero, because he's the captain, okay, if he went over to the fans and clapped after the game and said, "Thank you for coming, thanks for supporting us," I think he would have got abused. Because the last couple of games when we've lost, when the players have gone over to the fans, there's either been an altercation, booing, swearing, and has got himself into a bit of a situation as well. I don't think our players should go over to the fans anymore because the fans are just going to give it to them. And I think Romero just thought, if I go over there, it's just going to be carnage. I'll just walk off the pitch. So I think he just walked off because he knew if he went over to the fans, he was going to get just absolutely cursed. That's what I genuinely think happened. Also, I think he's on his way out, isn't he? I don't think Romero is going to be here next season. I think he's already decided that he feels he can do better at another club. I'm sure his fellow football friends, his teammates for Argentina have told him, just leave, man. What are you doing at Spurs? Go to another club. And whether it's Atletico Madrid or another club that we don't know about yet, I think Romero's gone. He's not going to be here next season. So I was saying, Savva, that I think Romero didn't go over to the fans because did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard everything you said. But by the way, what I'm hearing as well from a number of people is that he has fallen out with Ange. I don't know if this is true.
Surprise.
What I've heard is that him, Maddison, and Son have all fallen out with Ange. And that's your three captains. Listen, I don't think Romero wants to be here. I think what you were just saying there about his Argentinian teammates. Can you imagine? He's rocking up to Argentina and he's going, saying, Julian Alvarez, who do you play for? I play for Atletico Madrid. Do you know what I mean? Like Emi Martinez, yeah, I'm at Aston Villa. We're in the Champions League quarterfinals and fighting for Champions League positions. You know, oh, Rodrigo de Paul and Simeone. Oh, yeah, we're at Atletico Madrid as well. And, you know, he must be looking around and going, hang on, I want a bit of that. Now, whether he's good enough or not, I'll let other people debate that. Big up. I'm not going to read this out because I feel like you're trying to bait me into something to do with yesterday's stream that I don't really want to talk about. Big up to you, a user. I know what magic mushrooms are, by the way. I'm not silly. I just never done one. And let's keep it football, a user, please. But thank you very much.
Do you think if our players took magic mushrooms, they'd play better?
They couldn't play worse. They couldn't play worse.
Maybe that should be the tactic.
Ronnie, I think Rangers have got too much to do away in Bilbao. If I'm honest, I think that them having a man sent off, I actually think did them a favour. Now, hear me out on this. I actually think that had they have come out and played, Bilbao would have taken them apart down the wings, how they play. I actually think the fact that they had to go 10 men low block for 80 minutes actually helped them. I'll tell you what, if Rangers beat Bilbao tomorrow night in Bilbao, fair play. That's a result and a half. If that Rangers team beats Bilbao, who are the favourites for the tournament at the moment, fair play to them. Fair play to them.
I think Bilbao and Man United both go through tomorrow night.
I agree with you. I think Bilbao and Man United will play in the semi-final. And then I think, listen, I don't know, Lazio, an early goal could you know, it's going to be a massive atmosphere for them at home in Rome. It's going to be interesting. Next question. Let's see if we can get these through. We've got 20 minutes left. Big up to everyone in the chat, by the way. Please do keep smashing the like button. We have got 565 in it, only 184 likes. Come on, guys and girls, we can do better than that. And for anyone that does want to join me tonight, I will be on Big Up watching Real Madrid versus Arsenal. I'll tell you what, just quickly, I did see, do you know what? He's always good to me in my chat. Angus, what percentage do you give us tonight? Us? Well, if you believe some people, I'm an Arsenal fan as well. So what percentage do I give Arsenal tonight? Mate, you're 75, 80% there. This is a game where, listen, as a Spurs fan, I will love it if Real Madrid beat you 4-0. As a football fan, I'm really bored of seeing Real Madrid win it. You guys go there tonight. If you don't do anything silly, don't get a man sent off in the first 10 minutes. Don't let Mbappe run rings around your team. You should go through. You're very good at the back. You haven't let in 3 goals in a single game for something like 450 days. And this Real Madrid team don't impress me at all. They do not impress me at all. So I think you're going to go through. I think you'll go through comfortably, if I'm honest. Stel, Arsenal going to go through?
Yeah. I remember when Spurs beat Real Madrid 3-1 when we had Poch as manager at Wembley. I was at that game. And that Real Madrid team weren't the best Madrid team, and we were quite decent. And I think it's kind of one of those situations where Real Madrid aren't quite the Real Madrid of old, and Arsenal they're on it. So yeah, I think Arsenal are through. I think they'll go through.
Big up to our man Chris. I hope you enjoyed the wedding in Cyprus. Abduction seems the better option than a lifetime in Spurs. Just now, Mark Cousins in our group chat was saying, like his grandson, he was like, I'm getting him a Plymouth shirt. It was like, yeah, don't subject him to Tottenham. Get him a Plymouth shirt. He'll have more fun down there in League 1 and 2, whatever. I keep seeing a lot of people asking if Stella and I support Greek or Cypriot teams. I'll go straight away and say no. Do you?
Yes.
I'm guessing Stella does. There we go. Look. Here we go.
Come on. Apoel, people. Apoel.
Nicosia. Okay.
Apoel.
Okay.
I'm a member of the club. I love them to bits. They'll never win anything in Europe. They got to a quarter-final of the Champions League, though. We did get to the Champions League quarter-final a few years ago. We beat Lyon in the knockout stages. We knocked out Lyon and Porto. We knocked out Porto and Lyon. The mighty Cypriot Apoel. So yeah.
Just quickly, is this true? Sonny's not gone with the squad to Germany. Is this true? Is Sonny the mole? I mean, he was left out on Sunday. I don't know. Listen, I won't get into that. By the way, Itchy Not Scratchy, which I think is a great name. If you could sign one of Tefesa Kubo, is this Kubo from Real Sociedad? Are we talking about? That's that Kubo, right? Or Cherky? I really like. I don't know if you've seen them both. So I really like Cherky of Lyon. I think he's a really talented footballer. But there's a lot of talk about his attitude, though. My question would be, how, if you're keeping Madison and Kulu, how do you get Cherky in there as well? But I think Cherky's a good player. I would take Kubo out wide. So I don't know if that answered your question in any way, shape, or form.
So Spurs have put an announcement on the website. Son will not play in Frankfurt due to a foot injury.
Okay, right. So he's injured. So he's not the mole. As far as we know, Son is not the mole. Look, let's get to, we've got 15 minutes. Let's get some quick fire questions. I saw an interesting one there from Big Up A User. Thank you. So much love to the channel and good work you both do. Listen, we just try and keep it football content, keep it simple, and the rest is white noise. So big up to you, A User. I really do. You're always very generous to me. So thank you very, very much. You know this guy. I think this is Maz. Said, was Paratici a success at Spurs? And would you have him back? Now, Stel, this is interesting, right? Because Paratici's one that splits the fans, isn't it? There are some people that were, Paratici's cooking and look what he did. Other people are like, well, what did he do? He bought people like Emerson Royale and Brian Hill. And where are you with Paratici? Would you have him back?
Before I answer, all the Cypriots in the chat are ripping me apart because I said Applewell, and they're disgusted that I said Applewell. Listen, it's who my family supported. I was a kid. They said you're an Applewell fan. Same as Spurs. You're a Spurs fan. It is what it is. Parity. Look, compared to what we've been used to, he's probably the best of the bunch. Was he brilliant? Wow, no. But he restructured the academy that wasn't quite ticking, because when we lost McDermott, who left Spurs, his number 2 was put in charge and he wasn't ready for the role, and he ended up having to step down after a while. So he headhunted Simon Davies, who I spoke to, who actually was on his way to Burnley with who's the manager of Bayern Munich?
Vincent Kompany.
Right, so Vincent Kompany and Simon Davies worked. They were both at Man City, so they both learnt the Man City way. Then they went off to, I think it was Anderlecht, and then when Kompany went over to Burnley, Paratici poached Simon Davies from going to Burnley and being the number 2 and made him the academy director of Spurs. So that was a good move by Paratici, because he's a good academy director and he's restructured the academy, and the academy is a lot more team-based rather than just individual development. So that was kind of needed, I feel. That's why our 16s, 18s are suddenly, we've got some good players that we're talking about. The potential is definitely there. So hats off to him for that. He broke the wage structure for the academy so we could sign better academy players that we didn't pick up when they were 7, 8, 9, 10. But at 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe we could bring them in. The likes of Vuskovic, Phillips. There are players we've signed in that we couldn't before because we wouldn't pay the wages. So academy-wise, he's definitely improved us. Although we don't get to see the benefits of it because for whatever reason, our club doesn't want to bring through the academy players. We'd rather sign Odeberts and Timos and Tells, which is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In terms of the first team, I think some of the signings he made in the beginning were very, very questionable. Gazaniga, Chicken Royale. What were we doing? But he then did bring in the likes of Kulu and Bentancur. But whatever we think of them now, they were a big reason we got top 4 the season they came in. They really pushed us on. And then he's brought in, Vicario, who, look, he's a good shot stopper, but I don't think we play to his strength. Play out from the back, He's a disaster. Van der Ven, I think, was a good signing. I think Udogie is a good signing, but not coached properly. Porro is a good signing, but not coached properly. Spence, he's proven to be good. So he has brought in players that I think were better than what we were used to. It's better than the Nkudus, the NGs, the Rodons, the Longleys, all this crap. So I do think that he was building something where the foundations we could do something with. But since he's gone, it's gone to shit. I mean, I don't know what we're doing now. Timo Werner, what planet are we on? You know, Did we need to sign Kinski when we had goalies? No. Tell, what's he done? What's Tell done? No. Yang, what was the point? What was the point of Yang? I completely agree with you. I think he's the best of what we were used to.
Yeah. All I know is, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, I want Paratici. But again, it's like when you're offering me managers against Ange, I'm going to take those managers. When you're offering me Paratici against Lang, I'm going to take Paratici. Now, Alex, Mr. Box Office is in the chat. If you don't know, you better get to know and don't get used to it, right? The professor of truth and entertainment is here. He said, Paratici is terrible at finding managers. Alex, I'll say what I always say with this. When we're saying he's terrible at finding managers, the question I would have is he terrible at finding managers, or did he find good managers and Daniel Levy wouldn't pay them? Or, you know, I don't know. I'm just spitballing. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But I don't want to spend any more time on Paratici. I've got a couple of things that I want to...
Savva, could you quickly bring up the comment from Zigzag Nemesis at 6:17? I just want to...
Stel, I've seen it and I was about to bring it up. Is this the Luca Williams-Barnett one?
Right. First of all, what I said was I spoke to the academy director and I asked him about the academy, and he said to me, they're not going to be playing this season. Don't expect much, because he doesn't think they're ready. Ange doesn't think they're ready. When I spoke to the coaches, they disagreed. They said, no, they're ready. They need to be given the minutes. At the end of the day, Ange has the final say. So that's what I said. And when you look at what's happened this season, Mikey Moore, Lancashire, Scarlett, Divine, the academy players, not the youngsters we brought in who are 18, our homegrown talent, none of them have featured this season other than the one odd game or 20 minutes twice. None of them. None of them. That's what I said. And the last thing I want to say is sorry. It's looking like Lucas William Barnett is on the verge. He hasn't featured this season. So what you're saying is you're adding things that I never talked about. If Barnett plays for Spurs next season, the year after, that's a different conversation. It doesn't relate to what I said about this year. And by the way, for the record, personally, I think Barnett is a real talent. I do. But again, until he's given the minutes and he does it in the Premier League on a regular basis, that talent is nothing more than potential. That's all it is. Until he does it week in, week out.
Well, I think the wording is very important. Like when you're saying, you know, Williams Barnett is on the verge of breaking through. Is breaking through coming on and getting 5? Like, has Ajayi broken into the first team because he's played 15 minutes against Elfsborg and then never to be seen again? That, for me, I don't consider that breaking into the first team. Breaking into the first team is getting game time, being on the bench, coming on more often than not, and then eventually that leading into being a first team regular. At the moment, none of them have done that. Not even Mikey Moore, who's the golden child of the youth team. So, you know, we can't just say, oh, did you, you know, we can't just say that. Listen, so
Harry Kane, Oliver Skip, Harry Winks are the only academy players in the last 8-9 years who broke into the first team. They played regular minutes. They were the only ones. And only one of them turned out to actually be the level we needed in the end. So none of our academy players have broken through, man. They're there, but they're just there. That's all they do. They're there. And they're not going to... Mikey Moore now is third choice behind Son, Odebert and Tell. So signing those players has pretty much said to Mikey Moore, fuck you. And if there's no Europe next season, Mikey Moore might as well leave the club. He might as well just leave the club because we're not going to develop him. And it's a tragedy because we do this all the time. And the players we sign aren't even that good.
No, absolutely. Listen, let's quickly super chat. Big up to Alf. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate you. So, do any of you two still work in football? If so, what is it? Is it possible to ever come and seeing a coaching session? So I know that Alf's just gone into football coaching the last year or so. Alf, I haven't worked in that side of football for a long time. I don't know, Stel, are you still working in coaching?
No, I've hanged up my boots. I've done my stint. I don't want to work with the games. The environment's changed, man. It's become so driven by money and contracts that for me, you know what about the love of the game and just being brilliant at your trade? What happened to that? And for me, there's a disconnect. But Alf, if you want any tips though, email me hello@tottenhamaway.com. I'm happy to help you out.
There you go. So hello@tottenhamaway.com. Nice and easy. Big up to you, Alf, and I hope the coaching is going well, mate. Really appreciate that. What is the most simple solution to our leadership problem? Is it as simple as just buying more experienced players, or is it a lack of mentality? I think for me, I think it's a bit of both. First and foremost, you've got to buy some experience. Like this is the debate that Lubo and I have all the time. Like I keep saying, when we're linked with Dibbling, when we're linked with what's his name at Sunderland? Is it what's his name at Sunderland? Rig? Is it Rig? Whoever's the youngster is at Sunderland, and everyone goes, "Oh, he's really good." Stop. We've got enough. We've got loads of young talent. We've got to add some senior pros to it. You've got to. If you look at even like what Fulham did in the summer, they've added players like Sander Berg. Yeah. Senior. He's a pro. He's been around the block. He's a senior. We don't do it. We just don't do it. So for me, still, I think it needs, there's a mentality thing, but how can you have that mentality if you don't have the leaders to learn from, right? Chicken and egg for me.
I totally agree. And the perfect example, I was at a pre-season friendly. It was Spurs versus Porto. Martin Jol was the manager. And then it was packed out. We were all waiting for the big moment. And it came. Substitution for Tottenham Hotspur coming on. Edgar Davids. Stadium erupted, right? And I remember this. He came on the pitch. And there was this glow around him like a halo, right? Well, oh my God, Edgar Davids. And immediately, as he came on the pitch, he pointed out to a midfielder, you, there, you, Tuck. And those players straight away were like, yeah.
Edgar's telling me too. Yeah.
That is leadership. You don't have that now. Now one of our players says, you do that. It's like, no, you do it.
Do you know what?
You do it.
Even at smaller clubs, this happens. Do you remember Crystal Palace back in the day got in? I know I'm getting the eyes from the wife. 3 minutes. Don't worry, 3 minutes. Crystal Palace bought in Attilo Lombardo. Remember, from Italy, and then Leicester City bought in Cambiasso. If you remember, Cambiasso. Bolton did it. Bolton bought in people like Ivan Campo, right? Players that have been there, seen it, done it. They don't have to play every minute. But I'll ask you this, and we'll end it on this in a second. But I'll ask you this, right? These young players, Bergvall, Gray, Moore, whoever, all the young players. Imagine they come into the changing room in the summer and Spurs have signed. I'm just going to try and think in this era, realistically. They see a player like Milner who's been there, seen it and done it. Now, again, I'm not saying James Milner to play every game. I'm just using him as an experienced example.
Zubermendi.
But I'm going realistic in terms of, I'm just talking about a seasoned pro that they bring into the club and they go, yeah, that player's played for this club, that club, that club. He's won this. Yeah, he's played for his country 50, 60, 70 times. He's experienced. He's first on the training ground. He's last off the training pitch.
Jordan Henderson type.
Right. Just imagine that. What you've got at the moment is you've got all of these kids learning from what? Like this
I agree. I totally agree, Savva. I totally agree.
No. So look, but again,
this goes back to what Ange said. We can either sign experience or develop it, and he chose to develop it, and clearly it's backfired because it hasn't been developed.
No, absolutely. even a player like a Ross Barkley around the squad. He's played for England, played for Chelsea, you know, like but listen, I am going to leave it there, guys. Let me just double check I've not missed any super chats. Sorry, there were a lot of questions. I'm so sorry that I can't get to all of them, but we will be back next Wednesday. Guys and girls, I will be live at 10 to 8 on Big Up. The link is here. So if you want to save this somewhere, if you want to join, we always have a bit of a laugh. It kind of removes the Spurs element. So it's a bit more lighthearted, a bit of fun. There is the link. Did I put the link in? I think I did. There is the link. No, idiot. Sorry. I mean, no, it is. It is there. So there is the link. Please join me. Please subscribe to Stel at Tottenham Away. Please subscribe to me as we chase down 18,000. Stel, just give me a prediction. Last thing. Everyone in the chat, last thing. Prediction. Tomorrow night, Frankfurt away. What's the score going to be?
Before I give my score, Aussie dude, please stop telling everyone in the chat to shit on my channel. That's not cool, man. I respectfully gave you an answer. I wasn't rude to you or what you do, so don't do it to me, man.
One more of these, you're blocked, mate. One more.
This is like don't lie. Don't lie. My prediction tomorrow night: 3-2 Frankfurt, maybe an extra time.
I think it's going to penalties. I'm going to say this. I don't think this is an amazing Frankfurt team. The problem I've got with predicting anything still is Spurs just are all over the place.
Yeah, you can't predict it.
Right. What I do know is we'll have a 15-minute spell and everyone will say because of that 15-minute spell that we played well. But guys and girls, I'll see you tonight, 10 to 8 on Big Up. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for the Spurs show in the morning. And then tomorrow from 6:30 for the live watch along and build up to the show. So thank you very much. Stel, thanks for your time. Enjoy your evening. And as always, Ange out, Levy out, Enoch out. And come on, you Spurs.